All right, so this is probably the biggest game maybe of the week. We are Penn
Penn
State
State.
versus Ohio State. I've already had early action on this. I followed the train with Sharp way early before when he dropped the line. We had it in another show. I'll link the show up here for when we drop the early line. But Sharp, I'll go to you. What's your best bet here? Eva, obviously the line has changed. So has your thought process changed on any of this on this game? Do we still take the line that we see here? Penn State, I'm sorry, Ohio State favorite minus 4.5, totals 45.5, money line minus 198. Talk to him.
Um, yeah, I think m- my only hesitation, I guess, would be that Ohio State's been smart with roster management. So what they did the exact same thing the Eagles did, but it bit the Eagles in the ass. They had about three or four guys that could have played last week. Emeka Egbuka could have played. Travion Henderson could have played. They had a slot safety, could have played. They had a nickel corner, could have played. But last week they were like, we don't need them. Let's save them for Penn State. Well, the Eagles did the same thing. It killed them. Well, I think those guys might be the difference. Like, I really did like Penn State here until I started realizing Ohio State was shelling a lot of their good players. And in college, that means a lot to be fresh. I still think Penn State's in a great spot here. Like, overall, coming into the season, I think they're better. I will say that I do think the way Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni have handled the roster the last 2 weeks has definitely set themselves up in a great position here. Almost kind of give themselves a mini bye. That being said, I still think Penn State's going to win this game. If you don't want to have to put the money on the +5 we gave out, it hasn't even moved much. It's still 4.5. I think four
I
somewhere, but
thought
you
we
can
got
get
a
four.
plus 5.5. Was it
It
5.5
opened.
we
It
got?
opened to 5.
Yeah, I
Okay.
see that 4.5 now.
Yeah. Uh, but what I'm adding to it is, man, Penn State bet 365. You can get Penn State plus 167 money line. I think Penn State's a good team to throw in a teaser for sure. When I give out teasers at the end of the show, they're definitely going to be in a lot of my teasers here. They're going to be in my crossover teaser, and they're going to be in my just college football only teaser. I think this game's going to be back and forth classic. To me, what this literally comes down to, the only way Ohio State wins, I could literally see this being Penn State up by 4, down the stretch, and then Travion Henderson busted big. Ohio State cannot sustain runs. Like, their runs are 2 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 80 yards, 2 yards, 2 yards, 4 yards, and 70 yards. And it's only Travion Henderson that can do that. Now, they've held him out for 3 weeks in a row. This dude is going to be crazy fresh. So that would be my only fear as a Penn State fan is Travion Henderson has like 12 carries for 200 for 140 yards on 2 runs essentially and bust the game open that way. Outside of that, Penn State is going to win this game unless Travion Henderson or Marvin Harrison does something crazy.
Diddy, you got anything on this game? He got my handicap for me. I don't got nothing to say because I was on the early line side of this. I did bet Penn State +5 here.
Yeah,
I don't know if you have any takes on this game. Obviously, it's gonna be a classic early game, 12 o'clock. Anything to
I
add?
do. I do have Penn State in the teaser, like Sharp said. I think that's a great teaser play. We'll talk about that later on in the show. And I do like this game on some teasers on the totals also. But for the single play, I wanted to look at the Penn State first half here. I think this is going to be a boxy game. I think this is like you're going to have that championship type vibe coming in here, and I think you're looking at two of the best defensive teams um, defensively per opponent's yards per game. That's looking at Ohio State and Penn State. So I think this is going to be one of them boxing games, low scoring games. I like Penn
Yep,
State in the first half to be able to cover that, which should be what,
two and a
about
half.
2.5? I'm sorry,
No, 2.5.
two and a
Yep,
half, right? Yeah, I mean,
yep.
of course, you would love to get to the three number or the key number, but I just think it'll be
Mm-hmm.
like probably like maybe like a 7-3, 10-10 game going into halftime. Any team that Ohio State has played that had any type of respect, they were close in that first half. Notre Dame, Maryland, and I think Penn State is actually ready for this moment. Talked to a buddy of mine that's up there in Penn State, and he's been saying that they've had this thing circled. Obviously, but he just gave me that
Yeah,
extra like, hey, this might be the one.
right.
He doesn't
Mm-hmm.
say that much, so So for me, I'm going to follow that. I like them to get out there early, box it a little bit. I don't see Ohio State getting out of control. If anything, it should be easy first half for me. So that is a unit play for me, first half for sure.
You're saying Penn State in the points on the first half?
Penn State, yeah, you can go money line or the points if you want to. I think
What
I like
what do you get? What do you get in first
Well,
half? Are you
so
getting the +3?
no. I'm getting a 2.5. I'm seeing it too. 2.5 for first
So
half.
in your opinion, you think this is a tie game at
Like
halftime?
I can see it being a tie game.
Because my only thinking, just not saying anything with your bet, but
Mhm.
like in my opinion, you almost seem like you're leaning Penn State to have the lead at half. You would, and then you kind of hinted at
Right.
money line. Wouldn't you just, with such a short line, wouldn't you just take money line? Like if
I
you're
think
catching the 3, I love it. But if you're
yeah,
not,
I think what you're saying is 100% right. And usually I wouldn't do that. But for some reason I'm feeling 10-10. Like my gut
okay,
is saying tie
yeah, I
ball
got
game.
you,
You know what I
I
mean?
got
So
you,
I'd rather be on the
yeah.
plus side of that than me saying, all right, it was a great bet, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, I'm gonna take the plus 10, a plus 2.5 with that with the 10 -10 juice
This
and just
game to
take
me is a
over.
lot like Duke and
Right.
North Carolina, or UNC
Notre
last
Dame,
week with
UNC.
Miami. Two,
Okay.
two, two pretty evenly matched teams,
Mhm.
and I think the difference was both quarterbacks were getting rocked early by the defenses, which I think is going to happen here. I think Drew Aller's going to get hit, and I think Kyle McCord's going to get hit. They're young quarterbacks. But what I think is just Drew Aller's the bigger, tougher dude, and that showed in the second half with UNC and Miami. Their quarterback started limping a little bit, and Drake May just kept coming along like he was Terminator, like Josh Allen does. Like you kept hitting him, he kept
Yeah.
slinging it. You kept hitting, and I think Drew Aller has that quality where we might whack him or we might get to him. We might just not be able to get him on the ground. And I think this is going to come down to a red zone efficiency type game. And Kyle McCord cannot escape the pocket, and Drew Aller can. And literally for me, that's the difference. Like I'm just trusting that Drew Aller is going to make more plays than Kyle McCord, and I think everything else is pretty even.
I
so
do.
let
I
me
like
ask.
that. I like your run. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Let, yeah, no, you're good. Let me ask you boys this: Franklin in big games. Does that have any mystique on this, or what we've been saying all year for 7 weeks? This is Penn State's year.
Of all
As
the
an
years,
Ohio, go ahead, Diddy.
no,
Sorry,
sure.
go ahead. You go first.
Of all the years of this Penn State, because Penn State's always been in the conversation, right? They've always been
For
there
sure.
throughout the whole year. I think of all the years, I feel like this is the biggest opportunity for Penn State to make a run here. But we're looking across at Michigan too, right? I think Michigan's probably the best team in the Big Ten. Most likely, I do think Michigan's probably the best team in college football right now.
Yeah,
So
agreed.
unfortunately, Penn State runs into the buzzsaw. I feel like they always have a buzzsaw in front of them somewhere. The team is better than them, and they got to run through the Big Ten. But I think this is the best team that I've seen come out of Penn State in a long time, and I think this is the opportunity for them to take on Ohio State here. I think they'll be prepared. They got a lot of veterans on that football team. I think they'll be ready to go. I'm also looking at that team total first half under the 23.5. Like I said, I think it's going to be like a 10-10 game, 7-7, 7-10, 7-3, something like that. I think it's going to be really close to the cuff. And I think that nobody wants to be able to kind of lose control. So I think they'll be game planning that way. Like they'll be getting coached that way, right? Not a
And
whole
I
lot of
will say
synergy.
this, Nate. Big games. Ryan Day hasn't proven he's a big game coach either. Some of that James Franklin stuff was when Urban Meyer, who is a big game dude, was a monster. And as an Ohio State fan, the last couple of years, the reason I knew we were going to beat Penn State was because I knew Sean Clifford was going to make a devastating mistake when the game was close, and he would always do it.
Yeah.
He would play good, he would battle, and then like he would just have some turnover that was like, oh my gosh, you just killed Penn State. And we knew that. This year, I don't think Drew Aller's that guy. So I don't think James Franklin's a terrible coach or a guy that's a big game failure, or at least he's on the same level as Ryan Day. Like I don't think that's going to be a huge advantage for Ohio State, in my opinion.
And just before we move on to the next game, but I think this is such an important game to talk about. I've heard a couple, this is going to be a back and forth, classic boxing match, heavyweight fight, under, but we're not on the under. Any type of reason why we're not on the under of this game because I was it at 45.5. Because when I went back and looked at it, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, damn, this is going to be a fight. And we got some solid defenses. From what Diddy you said, I'm bringing you both to kind of together of your handicaps. Diddy, what you said, beginning, this is a veteran team. This is a good defense. And then going back to what you said, Sharp, 2 yards, 2 yards, 70. Explosive. You limit those explosive plays, you can limit Ohio State. So what we see here, I heard you a little bit, Diddy, about the under the half and the under. Why not the under for those watching? For those who might be like, okay, well, if it's gonna be a defensive battle, why are we not looking at the under here? For the game itself at 45.5.
I mean, I did actually. I actually was going to put. I do
Okay.
have them in a teaser for the under. I just think
Okay.
that number is super sharp.
Sharp. Yeah.
Like
Yes,
it could go
Right where it needs
over
to be.
exactly.
1 point or under 1 point. Like it's just so sharp that that's
Yeah.
why I just couldn't.
There's
Like,
no value there.
that's why I like the
Okay.
first half. I wish it was 24.5 on the first half, but it's 23.
Oh
That is
man.
sharp too.
Yeah.
But that's why I just took the first half under. And if it does go over it, then I can kind of save myself on the second half live bet or something like
Yeah.
that. But Penn State is not a good defense. Penn State's a great defense. Like you're talking
Mhm.
probably historically one of the best defenses Penn State had
I
since
think
like
they only given up
LeVar
like
Arrington
less
time.
than 10 points a game, right? Or something
Yeah,
like that.
it's pretty
It's
remarkable.
crazy.
They're
Yeah.
ranked number 1 in total yards, ranked 3rd in passing, ranked 5th against the rush,
But here's my only
43rd
thing:
at
they have not
defense.
played a competent offense yet, and Ohio State
I was about to
is.
say.
Is Ohio State an elite offense like they've been the last 5 years? Absolutely
No.
not. Is an
And
Ohio
that's it.
State but
Mhm.
look at Penn State's schedule. They've played literally every offense they've played is bottom
agree.
100. Like I'm talking like not even
Yeah.
top 100. So my only thing here is this is going to go a big step up in the kind of offense they are playing. That would be like my one little hesitation. And the only thing I haven't weighted on you said it great. The line is just sharp on the total. This game has a history of overtime. And if you're sitting there and it's 21-21, 23-23, and you go to overtime, you're cooked.
You're
So I will say, I think the summer line was like 57 was this total. So it's the week of the line's 45. That's a significant jump. The line now is where it should be, in my opinion. And Diddy said the same thing. It's hard to bet that under unless you get closer to day of and you got to feel for the exact weather.
Yeah. Cool.
I know in God it was Abuka. Abuka is questionable going into Saturday.
He's playing for sure.
But he's definitely should
Yeah.
be playing, but he's not going to be 100%. And I think that's going to be key. And I think they've been leaning heavy on Harrison. What I will my last comment, I try to compare what this game is going to be like in the worst side of Penn State. Could this be that Ohio State Michigan game when Michigan came in dominating defense? Everybody was talking about Michigan's defense. They're this, they're that, the blah blah blah. Then Ohio State just blew them out the water that one year.
Yeah.
But they had so many weapons on the outside. They were just doing crossing routes and killing him. I just don't see that being Ohio State this year. I don't think they have enough offensively. Although to Chase's point, they are competent, right? Ryan Day's offense, competent pieces. I just feel as though they're not the scary Ohio State team that I've seen. Like we're talking about Penn State outright beating Ohio State at Ohio State.
Ohio State. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? We're not even questioning.
These are 2 top 10 defenses in the country. Both these teams are led by their defenses. I want to get very clear. These 2 teams are led by their defenses. No doubt about it.
Yep.
All right. Love the handicap on that one. I think we gave it the time and just due time that it needed. That best bet though, if you guys didn't catch it, we're on Penn State. Diddy's on Penn State first half, and me and Sharp had the early line of +5 of Penn State.
But I'm also adding money line. I want that bet 365. You can get Penn State +167 money line right now. That's the best line number you can get. +167 money line. I like 2 units.
If you're seeing this video right now, that means you made it to the end. So congratulations. You are now almost officially part of the Money Team.
MoneyPot.
How do you become a part of the Money Team? If you're new to the channel, you have to hit the subscribe button. We want to blow this brand up It's not me versus you or us versus them. It's us versus the sports book, us versus the bookman, aka the boogeyman. So make sure you're on the winning side and the winning team. I got bonus content up here for you guys to choose from. Make sure you tell a friend to tell a friend. This is Moss Money. This is Money Pot. This is Money Pot Betting.